What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. So in the previous video, kind of talked about the basics of the Abyss of Dagoth drop, the companion rework situation, or at least a companion upgrade, and then kind of where my loadouts were. But I also tentatively brought up what frames I think could use some polishing or further work, especially after seeing them take Grendel from his bullshit meme-ish level of play to what he is now, and then even more so making Hydroid, in my personal consideration, basically the worst Warframe in this game in a very high level top tier gameplay. What else can Master Pablo do to some of these frames to really kind of make it hit home? Now, personally, at the bottom of this list, you're going to see basically the bottom, 11 that say RW next to them. And each one of these is ones that I think could use some level of rework. Not total. There's plenty of them that are very playable. Pretty much all of them are playable in their own right with subsumes, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's just like something lacking, right? There's something lacking that can make them better, or they're just out of touch with the timing of where the game is at today. So, I mean, obviously, I'll just quickly point out the frames that are not in the rework category. Mirage, Saren, Volt, Atlas, Nova, Ash, Ivara, Nidus, Gara, even though not my playstyle, Gara, very powerful frame, Nyx, Equinox, Trinity, and Vauban. Those are frames, and Vauban's kind of one in there that some people absolutely love, and some people consider Vauban on the same level like Frost or Banshee, because there's really no realistic survivability built into Vauban. So you kind of have to build around it, do some stuff with Vauban to make him survivable, but he's a very broad controlling range frame. Frost can be as well, but that's neither here nor there. Okay? So we're going to go into the ones that I think could use a little bit of work or a lot of work, either way. So Valkyr. Valkyr is an extremely powerful frame. There's a big problem with Valkyr, though, and it comes down to her normal rip line ability, which I've got Roar on here just to help boost Warcry. But her rip line ability and her paralysis ability are really fucking stupid. Like, they're just kind of dumb. They don't really work with what Valkyr wants to do, because basically Valkyr's entire survivability is almost solely based around Warcry buffing the hell out of your armor to give you basically, you know, more damage reduction. You know, as you can see here, armor increase, speed increase, basically move fast, have higher DR. And in Hysteria, you basically become damaged and vulnerable, and you break out her claws and turn into a cracked out Wolverine. Rip line is exactly what it is. You fucking shoot a line across a fucking map and pull yourself to it. It is what it is. Paralysis is basically just a big fucking knockdown ability that gives you a damage multiplier. Those two are where I think Valkyr needs the work. Those two just need to be replaced with something better. Because with Warcry and Hysteria being what they are, it makes Valkyr, who is, in my opinion, a very fun frame to play, also extremely one note. So it's like you could literally run no weapons on her except for the odd case of not having energy. So then you need weapons. So if you should run out of energy, then yeah, sure, you need weapons on her. But aside from that, you're basically Wolverine and damage or vulnerable the whole time unless violence shows up. So, I mean, like, Valkyr being so one note, I just find that she is very lackluster for what she seems to be capable of. There's no point in doing a playthrough on her. She's pretty self-explanatory. And yes, I will be doing a playthrough on some of this on how I have them configured, and prior to the playthroughs, I'll explain why I think the change needs to be made, even though more than likely I'm going to survive playing them. So the next frame, Rhino. There is a very simple buff I personally think they should do to Rhino. Okay? It's his energy pool. That's it. Quick and easy. Energy pool. There's absolutely no need to subsume anything onto Rhino. Yes, you can see I've got Breach Surge on here. That's honestly because it's really fun to Breach Surge at, you know, plus 200%, you know, 200% plus ability strength with the Kuva Tonkor or some other AoE weapon, and just basically watch an entire room explode from headshots from radiation damage. So I find that just to be more hilarious than anything, but Stomp is a perfectly functional CC damaging ability. But basically everything synergizes around Roar, Iron Skin, and Rhino, and, you know, and the Rhino charge with use of the Ironclad charge augment. And this build works very well. You get a whole bunch of armor by slamming through a bunch of fucking enemies, and you just keep doing you. The problem is that, again, he's very one note, but at least he's a tanky fucking one note. And that tanky one note, if he had, like, at least with Prime Flow, 650 energy, it would give a lot more buffer, especially on the Steel Path when everything is whittling away your overguard very rapidly. Just having that extra buffer of energy would put a lot of players in a position of not having to waste Archon Shards or waste Arcane Energize or have to go farm the shit or buy Arcane Energize just specifically because they really like Rhino. It would just give you a position of having more leeway to work with him. I mean, sure, if they would want to buff his base armor, I'd be okay with that. If they would like to buff his base health, I would be totally fine with that too. But there's kind of no need for either one of those. Those would just be nice. But poor Rhino, is as good as he can be, he's been done kind of dirty because he basically has the same amount of energy that base Rhino has. But that's all he really needs, just a jump in his energy pool, big time. I don't know why I just did that. I was trying to go to the config button. Limbo. Let's just be honest. I don't even need to click into Limbo. Okay, Limbo needs one simple revert done. The Xmas rework hit in March of 2022, and at that point, Limbo became highly unplayable without applying silence on him. Like, I'll click into him. The reason being is because Limbo's pure survivability is based on him being able to go into the rift and be damaged and vulnerable while in the rift. Okay? So basically, Cataclysm, Rift Surge, and whatever the fuck his first ability are completely useless against anything that has, like, is an Eximus or an Acolyte. They could just basically shoot him right through, you know, just basically shoot right through the fucking rift and you die. So you need to be able to use silence to keep things from killing you. So Limbo took this gigantic fucking nerf with the Xmas rework. If they would just revert that particular problem to where any rift-based stuff, including primarily as passive, would become functional again, Limbo can have his use again. Now, I understand Limbo is a very disruptive frame when people go into squads and they start trying to do defensive type of missions because, yeah, I mean, with him locking stuff down, especially in a defense mission, that gets very annoying. Don't put yourself on public if that's a problem for you, okay? Because these frames all exist and everybody's got their play styles. That's all I can say. Limbo does have his uses, and the problem is right now he's been stripped of them for over a year, and I personally think that needs to be fixed. Frost. Now this is the frame I'm going to show. But Frost, you can see I took his second ability off because it's kind of dumb. Okay, his second ability is just basically, you know, you throw the icicles like Violence, or like Violence does, and you slow enemies down. Freeze has function. Snow Globe, as much as I don't like Snow Globe, does have function. Avalanche absolutely has function. It all comes down to Biting Frost. Okay, Biting Frost giving you a 200% critical chance and critical damage against frozen enemies. So that right there makes anything that's freezing enemies good. Slowed down enemies, it doesn't do any good. Sorry, it just doesn't. Swift Momentum's whatever. You put whatever the fuck you want to in there. One more Forma in this motherfucker, and honestly, you can run an even higher range, or you can do ability strength with Power Drift. It's kind of up to you. It's really unnecessary, though. But the Condemn build specifically is for survivability because there is none in there. There are two things I would love to see reworked on Frost, and it's very simple. Leave the second ability as it is. Every frame can have one trash ability. Hell, that's fine. That's why Helminth exists. That's why they brought Helminth out. Give you an opportunity to take a trash fucking ability off and use something worth a fuck, right? Second ability, though, or second change, or the first change that I would love to see is Snow Globe actually having the ability of shooting into the snow globe. This two-part change, okay? So change it to where you can shoot out and in. Having your own weapon stuffs go through the snow globe, okay? But on top of that, also have snow globe give you like a percentage, a strength-based percentage of health regen while inside of an intact snow globe. That would at least give some level, some semblance of survivability while you're inside of the snow globe. And because it's got health, that means that if you just statically stand there, that snow globe is going to get all fucked up and it's not going to last very long. So it's going to have to be, you know, built to the liking of your gameplay, but also to the mission type that you're going into. So it's not going to just make you invincible all the time. It keeps the game level as it should be, not just allowing you to just super tank and stay alive all the fucking time. Okay. Now, the other thing that I would highly recommend changing is increasing his energy pool to something like Wisp. Put prime flow on him, and he's got 850 energy, because you're doing a lot of, you know, snow globe, freeze, avalanche, and even condemn casting. You're doing a lot of ability casting. You can run out of energy with frost. Just saying. Now, I've got Nautilus on here just like I do with my Hydroid, so energy is not a problem. And it's not like that's not the must-have, but some sort of survivability with this motherfucker is really kind of beneficial, because goddamn, he wants it very, very much bad. Very bad. Just saying. So, see, and it doesn't really matter what spot I spawn into, because we'll yes, it's a perfect spot.
Deserve your respect. Honor them with quick deaths. And
you'll notice I'm running the fucking Queller, the Plinks, and the Serrata. Okay, like, it's not even his melee. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I know this is a boring part. I should probably, like, cut and do these videos and just be like, here, look at this, you know, but it's not really my style most of the time, unless I'm doing a ton of these. I'm only going to do like a minute or so of each one of these frames, okay? I'm going to try to make these as quick as possible just to show you base function of how they can work.
Sending life support capsules your way.
So see, look, we can stand here in this snow globe. They can kind of do their thing. See, now let them come. Right? Let them come, let them get close, freeze them. They fucking die. I'm not even gonna see here. Now we'll freeze him. I mean, like, he's usable. No deaths. I can keep going for hours like this. It's fine. So he's usable. Like I said, Helminth exists. So if you're really having problems with survivability, even with my idea, Condemn exists. Pillage exists, although you don't usually run a ton of ability strength. Because you just need to freeze a motherfucker. You don't need to just go OP and turn them into fucking glaciers, because there's still a timer to it. So, but if those two things, basically modify snow globe to where you can shoot in and out of it, and then put some sort of health regen while you're inside of an intact snow globe, and then basically increases energy pool, you're not so limited on whatever companion or sentinel you want to run, for one, and then for two, having some sort of health regen in there is never a bad thing. Hell, even, you know, build over shields at a certain, you know, at a certain rate while inside of an intact snow globe, or over guard, or whatever. Something for survivability. I think that would be great for Frost. It would put Frost in a very, very good place. Oberon. There's absolutely no need to run Oberon. Oberon is very simple. Okay, Oberon already has survivability, which is great. Okay, it is. It's fine. It slows bleed out. You get health per second, which is not very much. By the way, I'm running 210% ability strength on this build, and you get 84 health a second. Not great, but it's okay. And it's a constant draw, you know, drain per second based on how many enemies it's hitting. So it's not perfect, but it does work. Hallowed Ground sucks. Okay, here, let me rad proc. This is basically meant to confuse enemies. That's all it is. It's basically meant to hit things with radiation, let them get confused, and give you time to kill them. Smite does work, but honestly, having something for more survivability is even better. And then Reckoning is supposedly meant to give you some health orb drops, give armor stripping, so on and so forth. But again, it's static-based numbers. Personally, I would like to see percentage, okay? Percentage based on strength. Okay, so the damage of being impact and radiation, I don't give a shit. That's fine. A percentage of the enemy's health. Percentage of the enemy's armor. Like armor reduction is just armor reduction. It's fine. I don't really give a shit what it is. You know, percentage of enemy shields. Whatever. I don't care. But give us percentages. Hallowed ground. Give us a percentage, you know, a radiation percentage based on health, not just 210. You know, so if you've got 210% ability strength, you know, make that like, I don't know, a 50% status chance at, you know, 20% rad of, you know, 20% radiation damage to an enemy's health. It's fine. Because especially on Steel Path, that makes a hell of a lot of difference. Smite is kind of what Smite is. It's kind of like the whatever ability. And then Renewal. Truth be told, Renewal, I don't really have a big problem with, aside from I'd like to see a slightly bigger buff to the health per second. The initial heal is fine. The health per second, I think, is a little low. Because at 210%, I'm only getting 84 a second. That's a little low. I mean, you look at Wisp, I could do 210, and it'll be, I mean, maybe a little bit lower, but I can also go the fuck away from that. You know, within reason. Like, Oberon works, especially if you go over Smite, put, you know, Condemn or Pillage or something on there, it helps. Like, Pillage is kind of useless because you already have, with Reckoning, you already have an armor strip, so it kind of is what it is, which is why I do Condemn, because I much prefer having a line of sight. That way they're locked in and I can just hit them. But Pillage does work as well. But something for base survivability is perfectly fine. So Oberon just needs a slight tweak. It's basically percentage-based stuff rather than just static low numbers. That'll just buff the numbers. Buff the numbers to match the game. Oberon was made way before the Steel Path was even a consideration, and his numbers reflect that is the problem. So either give us, you know, bump up them rookie numbers for Oberon and really put him in today's game and take him out of yesteryear, or give us percentage-based damages. That way it actually scales properly against enemies. That's really what we're talking about here, is scaling damages to enemies. That's Oberon's only problem. A Banshee. Banshee, much like Frost, has 0 goddamn survivability in her kit, and she's got 2 trash abilities to boot. Sonic Boom, and then she has Soundquake. Soundquake is basically, here, let me shake the fucking ground at quite a distance if you build for it especially, and basically scare enemies and shake them half to death in another room, and then anybody else in the squad, go hunt them down, good God be with you. Sonic Boom is a simple blast of sound to knock an enemy on their butt and pick them right back up. So she's got 2 good abilities, and they're not even amazing, but they're good. Like, Sonar is pretty close to amazing. It's pretty good. So basically, you cast this, shows a weak point, shoot weak point, kind of like Citrine's 4th ability with the big crystals. You shoot the weak point, you get a shit ton damage multiplier, and they fucking die. Silences, as we know it, it confuses enemies for a short period, turns off enemies' ability casting, Eximus and Acolytes, and yeah, it's basically a good time for survivability. And in lieu of Soundquake, I put Gloom because it's about the only fucking way to make this bitch stay alive. And even then, if you try to stand still with her too long, you're still gonna fucking die. But the funny part is when you go above 200% ability strength with Banshee, something like the Nell Prime becomes so fucking hilarious, because you can literally, as long as you have enemies around and you're okay at headshots, you'll basically never run out of ammo. You'll just keep shooting full auto all the fucking time. So it's a pretty good time. We'll show her real quick, because honestly, I'm actually hoping I die. Because even with Gloom, the thing of it is the slowing effect hits no matter what. The healing effect hits when you kill something. So if too many somethings get shots off at once before you kill a motherfucker, you could still die very fucking easily.
Your enemies have grown.
Not ideal to get this room over and over and over. Fucker. I'd really prefer the balcony room where I can just jump down in the orb and give myself some more energy, but here we are, right? Sorry. I really should pre-record these. I really should. Such is life. We're almost there. We're almost there. Wunderbar. Yeah, I really could have left prior to that. Okay, sorry. 30 seconds we'll never get back.
They have just shut
Or
down
12 seconds or how long. It's basically kick Gloom on, kick Silence on. Yeah, I'm gonna sit here and just fuck about. So yeah, I mean, like, you can walk up on a motherfucker. Now here's where it gets really funny. There you go. I mean, this is just aim high. I mean, the Nell Prime with the Banshee build is absolutely stupid. Because if you just aim for the fucking head, they're all gonna die. Eventually, yes, it does run out. So, like I said, you need a lot of enemies just hanging around, a bunch. But I mean, this is Banshee. I don't like putting gloom on frames. My big reason for it is because I think it slows down the fun of the game. But when you have to band-aid fix a frame's survivability with something like gloom, that screams to the problems of the frame's kit, not like, and yes, I've seen people use Blood Altar. It's fine. I believe it's Blood Altar. I can't remember. I'm almost positive it's Blood Altar. Sorry. I just have to know. Yeah, Blood Altar. Yeah. I've seen people use Blood Altar because you always build Banshee for range anyway. And like, notice I didn't even use sonar. Didn't need to. You know, put something like the Bursting on her and you definitely don't need it, but it's fine. Excuse me. But when somebody who normally runs around fairly tanked out with frames that I personally like, my God, excuse me, has to run around and use band-aid fixes like gloom, which is really what that ability is. I mean, like, I don't know, probably the only frame I would consider gloom not being a band-aid fix on is actually Garuda. And the only reason for that is because she already has a healing ability anyway. That just gives her mobility instead of being stuck at where Blood Altar is. This is just, I want this frame to live because sonar and silence are really fucking good together, and I can kill stuff really in a really overpowering fashion. But can we please, for the love of God, replace her fourth, replace her first, and give her something for survivability? You know, or hell, keep her first and put something with survivability in her fourth. I don't really give a shit. Replace one, replace both. It doesn't really matter. Sonic Boom's kind of trash anyway, but Soundquake is absolutely trash. And as powerful as sonar and silence can be as far as survivability goes, if she had something else in her kit, Banshee could be really, really, really good. And yeah, you're seeing this next one. You're Elli. I stuck Condemn on her. Took Merlina off, and there's a reason, okay? This is really simple. First of all, let us take a moment and understand that she makes no sense. Either her weapon doesn't make sense, or she doesn't make sense. Okay? That's just how this goes. There's no in-between on this. Where is that motherfucker? That's a K, that's right. There it is. Okay, so the compressor. Anybody see what this damage type is? Viral. True viral damage. Okay? This is Ureli's weapon. Ureli's signature pistol right there. Okay? So we see this. This is why Ureli makes no sense. Personally, I think this is partially why a lot of people get pissed off about Ureli. That coupled with her K drive, that's really the bigger part. The two abilities that work directly with water affecting enemies aside from Aqua Blades, okay, because that's just basically rotating water blades. Sea Snares. Cold damage. Riptide. Cold damage. Then why is the compressive viral? Why aren't these viral? Sea Snares is basically what the ammo, it does the exact same thing that the ammo of the compressor does. It just blows bubbles out, catches motherfuckers, and you make them blow up. So why are we not doing the same fucking thing that her signature weapon does? That's really dumb. Cold damage is all it does is slow people down. That's it. Sorry, that's all it does. It's basically just like a CC damage function. It's and that amount is not hurting anybody, especially on the steel path. Riptide, they have worked on it to where it just doesn't automatically fling enemies unless you force it to, so that's okay. Her biggest problem is Merlina. I always say Merlina, like Merlina. It's the southern part of me, I'm sorry. Merlina, here's what I think, okay? Urelli is a Fortuna / Orbalis Venus-based frame, right? So why not make it to where Merlina is basically your only K-Drive option if you're using Urelli available on Orbalis? Like, this loadout automatically just defaults to the UI and says this is the only thing. I don't give a shit if it's moddable or not. I don't care. But Merlina being her only level of survivability is fucking dumb because all you can use is a secondary. And Merlina is more than a little difficult to navigate through maps that aren't designed for K-Drives to be going through it. So her base 90% or her base survivability is based around something that is not very intelligently functional to use inside of a map. It's not that you can't. I see people do it all the time. It's fine, but it's just dumb. That, and then you're stuck only being able to use your secondary, which causes even more problems because unless you just have an absolute ripper of a fucking secondary, Tenet, Cycron, Catabolist, even the Catabolist has limitations. Kuva Nucor, more meant for status priming than killing per se. Latum, once you get it charged up, I mean, there's plenty of really good weapons. The Atomos, it fucking kills. I mean, there's a lot of really good secondaries, but you're stuck to only using it. So either give us access to all the weapons or take it off and put something else of survivability in place of the second ability. Because the rest of her abilities, if you build her right, which the build is this. I mean, it's very simple. It's 2 forma. You don't even need the Axilis. If you want to use it, you can. You don't need it, but if you wanna, you can. You could give her some more range if you wanted to. That's fine. Cunning Drift up here, be perfectly fine. Don't need it, though. And again, you see me using Arcane Blessing because I'm using Nautilus with this, because her Riptide coupled with Nautilus is a good time. As long as you're not stuck with Merlina, you can have a good time with her, but the damage types still don't make sense. So basically, they need to change the damage type to viral, first of all. Second of all,
their rage is vehement.
Either fix Merlina to where you have access to all your weapons, or just remove Merlina from the equation and just give us something else for survivability, and then use Merlina solely for the lore base of when you go into Orbalis with Urelli. This is the only K-Drive you have because this is what Urelli did in the comics. Like, I want to say Urelli's trash, and she's not. As much as I have joked about it in the past, Urelli is not just absolute garbage, okay? She's not just a hot steaming pile of shit. There's another frame that takes that place.
Trying to choke you out. Hold on.
But it's not her.
Auxiliary life support.
It's like Nautilus just drags him in the fucking air. Bust out my Cyclone and just kill everything in there. Completely survivable, guys. And especially with my Nautilus build, you're going to gain plenty of fucking health and have a good fucking time doing this. Took Nautilus just dragging him in with Corden.
Life support incoming.
You stop that. Who wants to say she's terrible? She's dumb, okay? She's dumb by her damage types and by her survivability. But if you take that stupid K-Drive out of the equation and they change the damage type to viral instead of cold, Urelli could actually be really fucking good. Missed opportunity, okay? That is really what Urelli is, a huge missed opportunity. because she could have been better than Hydroid was prior to his rework. Ember. I know, there's going to be some people that are going to be like, what? Now, I have Condemn on here for a specific reason, okay? Because first of all, Fireball, her first ability, Fireball, it's okay. It's not the worst, but it's okay. The problem comes down to a very simple issue. It's immolation. Her second ability. Okay? If they would just fix this problem, Ember would be fucking OP as hell. As she stands, Ember is very good. Okay? Ember is very good. She has a huge problem with being a massive energy sponge, though. As you see in the animation right there, when you get to that level of immolation, you are plowing through energy, because the more that shit goes, it's like the faster the fucking energy drains. It says energy drain per second, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it just seems like your energy just starts fucking dumping off like you're driving a big block past gas stations. Sorry if you don't understand that reference. So I have Condemn on there, so I don't have to worry about the damage reduction. Okay? Because the truth of it is, immolation, in my personal opinion, the only fix that needs to be done to this is drain energy like a motherfucker while you're building immolation. From that starting point until the 90% damage reduction, drain energy like a motherfucker. I'm fine with that. That's the cost, right? It costs you 50 energy to cast it, and then it costs so much per second while it's going. That's fine, but it needs to stop draining energy the moment you get to the 90% damage reduction. And if you want to do it, use Fire Blast to strip armor, but then you got to spend the energy again for immolation to build back up. I think that's a fair balance without being a complete energy sponge on your survivability function. Hence why I have Condemn. That way I don't have to rely on immolation and armor stripping, because then I can just use Inferno, get the drop chance for energy drops by killing motherfuckers with meteors of death, and then if I want to, I can build up immolation and Fire Blast, and build up immolation, use Fire Blast, but still have Condemn to fall back on. This is the only fix. It's not a big deal. Like, I'm not saying Ember's trash. She's actually really fucking good. I just think this thing being a constant massive energy draw is a really big turnoff for Ember. If they would fix that to where as soon as you hit that 90% damage cap, just run around like a fucking fireball, it doesn't matter. But if you want to use Fire Blast to strip armor, then you get to pay the price of burning through a shit ton of energy to get back to that 90% damage reduction. I think that's a fair trade from developers to gamers. Just my personal opinion. Aside from that, Ember is very good. Here we come to poor Chroma. Poor Chroma, man. This is a frame that is solely stuck in yesteryear. Okay, there are so many problems that are so easily fixed. And there's going to be people that are going to say that I'm kind of bonkers for this, okay? And I'm going to cover exactly why I say this, okay? Like here, let's just go to Config C, okay, and let's look at abilities. So his passive, Wings Sprout for an additional jump and bullet chance. That's kind of a, it might work, it might not, okay? There's plenty of times I have not had this happen. Spectral Scream. There's two problems to this ability. One, it's a constant draw. Running around breathing elements on motherfuckers is really kind of stupid. Okay? Why not have this be a short duration of I'm just going to belch whatever fucking element I feel like using at that particular time for a short duration and then go on about my day. Just running around. This is some yesteryear playstyle stuff. Okay? So just running around spitting stuff until you feel like turning it off is really dumb. Personally, I think there should be like Wisp's Reservoirs to where you just can cycle through the elements rather than changing your emissive color, because the only decent way to run Chroma is to have four configuration setups. For specifically appearance configurations, one with each elemental type. That way, whatever enemy you're going up to, just, you've got each config has the builds already preset, ready to go, and then the emissive energy is whatever element you're using. That's the way you have to run Chroma right now. Otherwise, you have to change it manually every time before you go into a mission, or just run heat. Because heat, in the grand scheme, is your base survivability because it's a health buff. Issue number 2, and you're going to think I'm nuts for saying this, okay, because the base duration of this ability is 35 seconds, okay? So, allow Effigy, or not Effigy, Elemental Ward, which is what his second ability is, to do the same thing, cycle through all 4 elements. But once you cast the ability, there's a 60-second wait time, a 60-second cooldown before you can before you can actually cast the next element or cast the ability again. Okay? Now, if you build him right, you'll only end up with like 8 or 9 seconds. So the cooldown is a way to balance the game out for those who don't want to build the duration, because that's still going to leave you, if you don't want to build any duration whatsoever and you're 100%, then that's going to leave you a 25-second period before you can recast that ability. Nobody's going to do that. Just putting that out there right now, ain't a goddamn motherfucker going to do that. But if they should choose, it's the price you have to pay, because these are all, when built properly, these are all some really, really good buffs that you can get from Elemental Ward. Now, Vex Armor. This one wants to be so good, okay? This one wants to be so fucking good. It really does. When shields are hit, Chroma and nearby allies grow stronger. Like the armor grows stronger. When your health takes a hit, weapon damage increases. Like, this is a win-win. You take my shields down, my armor gets better. If you actually hit my health, which, given the fact that Chroma shields crumble like fucking tissue paper, you're definitely going to take health damage. Then you start getting weapon increase damage, which is a good fucking time. So Vex Armor wants to be really good, but the rest of the kit is suffering from the fact of you have to build your appearances around doing stuff. And an effigy is really a credit buff. This is all fucking effigy is really, really good for. Like, it gives you a speed increase, okay. Supposedly gives an armor reduction, okay. But everybody gives a fuck about the credit multiplier and the extra credit chance. Let's be honest. This is where I think one little change needs to be put into effigy. Okay? Truth be told, one little change. Take the speed increase and the armor reduction off. I don't even care. I mean, like, you can leave the armor reduction. Take the speed increase off, change it out to 20% and just static, no change in this. 20% health regen. Well, hell, call it 10% health regen for every enemy afflicted by, well, yeah, let's say afflicted by effigy. So basically, if effigy breathes whatever element you're using at that particular time, because I personally think, like, Elemental Ward and effigy should always be linked, as far as, well, or Spectral Scream, either one, whichever one the devs would think would be okay. Whatever your last cast of element would be what effigy would be. So if you're stuck to heat, then this would do heat, electricity, so on and so forth. But basically, they have to be status procced, and you get a 10% health regen. It would incentivize using effigy a lot more. It would give you a health regen, which is given, again, that his armor can still be damaged, okay? You can still take a lot of health damage, and, like, there's a lot of ways to die with Chroma, okay? There really is. And Vex Armor isn't like some OP fix, okay? It's really not. So even on a Vex Armor build, tons of ability strength, and then you, obviously, if anybody was looking, I did one goofy thing. I took Naira's Hatred off for more duration, okay, a little bit more health, and then ability duration, okay, because I don't want to sacrifice range because I'm using something else, being Theros Strike instead of his Breathing Fire ability, okay, sorry, Spectral Scream. This is armor stripping and health regen. But again, this is why, Helmet exists. I'm not worried about shields so much, like I was, but given how quickly the shields go down, and the fact that you actually want to take health damage so you can get damage buffs, it's okay to lose shields, but considering you can take health damage, you might as well go for something that's, gonna get the job done. Oh my god. Hold on, I just need to make sure. Yeah, that's right, heat. So right now I'm stuck to heat. And then I've got 4 Crimson Shards on here for ability duration. Okay? But Chroma needs a full, like, damn near, like an 80% workover. Okay, he really does. Chroma needs a lot of work. Cycling elements in general needs to be a thing. my god, I cannot win. So anyway, cycling through the elements for the first and second ability just need to be a thing. Just, I mean, there are other frames that are newer than Chroma that are allowed to do it. Why in the fuck are we not allowed to do it with him? Because he's old, and they've never fixed it. Vex armor is honestly fine, okay. And then Effigy just needs to have some sort of health regen survivability function in there for anything that's status proc by it. I think that is a perfectly feasible function to give Chroma. Fuck you, don't want to behave?
Life
To
support
the crow's
has been
nest!
cut off.
Where are we going?
They're trying to choke you out.
Down
Hold
below.
on. I'm sending auxiliary life support.
Bitch. Who needs armor, right? And especially with this much ability strength. Like, I don't care if I don't have any fucking shields. I'm running a sentinel that's going to be constantly feeding me crap anyway. So, for me to just have to rebuild my shields with Thero Strike is totally fine. Or rebuild my health with Thero Strike, it's totally fine. And I buff my health with Elemental Ward. Bingo bongo, baby. Buff my armor here. Well, potentially buff my armor and... excuse me, stop that. Health, please. Let's see, like right there. You can take a massive fucking hit if you're just fucking around a little too much. A Thero Strike saves your ass. Let's see, like, just cast his little dragon fella right here, and we're good to go.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
Oh, come on, guys. Are you afraid of my dragon? But this is Chroma. Like, thank God Stynex came out, because Thero Strike is like a match made in heaven for this fucker, for any kind of... Because you want to take health damage, right? You want to take health damage to get weapon buffs. But in order to take health damage, you actually have to put yourself at a mild level of risk. So it's just like... Thero Strike at least helps you regen health, and it armor strips enemies, which is a good deal because you're going to be building for a bunch of ability strength anyway to get the most out of Vex armor and to get the most out of Elemental Ward. So, I mean, this is just a good fucking time. But if they would just put in rotating elements, a timer on Elemental Ward, and then add some sort of survivability function to Effigy, you could run his entire base kit. If not... Leave his first ability as garbage, we can sub over it. Like I said, Thero Strike works just fine, and here we are, right? And here we are at Caliban, right? Caliban should have just been named Wasted Opportunity. Really should have. Now, this is the build that I tested out when Caliban was first released. 269% ability strength, base range, because his range is pretty forgiving. Excuse me. And then 179% duration. Razor Gyre is literally a waste of time because it doesn't say heal rate of 10.76%, it's just 10.76. I'm assuming that's based by bumping into motherfuckers. Or enemies afflicted by. I don't really know. Damage increase per second, sure, but it's weak. Slam damage, weak. Base damage, slash, but it's still weak. Has a shit radius, which is whatever. I mean, you could build into that if you want to. And it constantly draws energy per second. Overall, it's crap. The only thing that it does work functionally for is to basically spin in this goofy-ass little weird top into a group and slam into the second ability, which, by the way, has an enemy cap. If they would just delete the enemy cap, this would be a great ability. It really would be. I wish it was radiation damage, and I wish that the first ability was actually like the Battleists, where you just roll up into a ball and do the, you know, the spinning diagonal fucking rays of death. Make those radiation, make this radiation damage, make fusion strike radiation, because why not? You know, why the fuck not? That would be a cool damage type. It's not a massive immediate killer, but it's good time. It's kind of like a health, like a health effect DOT and a confusion ability or a confusion damage type, so it'd be fine. And then Lethal Progeny, it kind of works. These are still, like, they've kind of worked on a little bit, but these are still dumb, drunken dickheads that just kind of fucking fly around and start attacking enemies and leave Caliban hanging out on a string to die. Yes, supposedly gives you a damage multiplier. Yes, it supposedly gives you a health multiplier. Rank is based on whatever your rank or whatever your ability strength is, and they supposedly give you 67.25 shields per second. That's if they are close enough and remember to do so. And then finally, why the fuck is Fusion Strike Blast? This is the dumbest damage type I have ever fucking seen. The fact that it's a perma armor strip is great. Its range is great. The overall ability is fucking great, except the fact that you can't even barely kill trash mobs with 13,450 points of blast damage on the steel path. The kick is that basically the only way to guarantee you're going to survive, if this motherfucker will ever do its job, there we go, is something a little bit more along the lines of this. Throw Condemn over Razor Gyre because Razor Gyre is a total piece of shit. Leave everything else the way it is. Sacrifice a little ability strength, sacrifice a little bit of ability duration because you need more efficiency out of this motherfucker. And obviously sacrifice some shields. It is what it is. Okay, it absolutely is what it is. A little bit more health, a little less shields, it'll be fine. It's a good time. This thing, and honestly, his passive. Why is this not 90%? Why is this not identical to the adaptation mod? The adaptation mod is basically based off of sentience. They adapt to damage, right? Well, why is this only 50 and we can't stack adaptation into it? Fuck off. Make this 90% just like the mod. Or give us access to the mod. One of the two. Because basically what we're looking at is what I'm about to show you. Does he work? Yes. Is he a complete waste of fucking space? Abso-fucking-lutely. I personally think the Caliban is the worst frame in this fucking game. And I'm hopefully about to survive with him. Should be able to.
Art of combat must be practiced.
Especially for like a minute or so. I've run Caliban with this build before. I do it occasionally just because. And by the way, look at this crooked back. I need a chiropractor. Oh, I'm fine. No, I need that chiropractor again. She do so heavy. Oh. So... there's so much missed with this frame. There really is. There's just so much missed shit with this frame. I don't understand why in the fuck they did what they did with this guy. What is with this motherfucker, man? Me and this summit are not getting along tonight.
Shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Hey, look, did anybody die from that? Here, hold on, look. Trash mobs. If I hit them a second time, they die. Oh, prove me wrong. One guy died. Now notice, my shields do have to be taking damage, okay? So if I'm taking damage, these guys actually start doing what they're supposed to.
Prepare for life support.
We noticing though, these guys aren't exactly doing their job. Especially three of them, you would expect three of them to do what that listing is independently of each other. Not that be everything all at once. Missed fucking opportunity, especially for a frame of what he's supposed to be based on. Fucking missed opportunity. Big time. Now, the last frame, Inaros. There's gonna be a bunch of motherfuckers pissed about this, and I'm sorry, but I don't think it's hard to argue the fact that Inaros' kit sucks asshole. Okay? It sucks asshole and swallows. There is one good ability with its augment being Scarab Swarm. His passive is ass. Desiccation, Devour, and Sandstorm are all dog shit. I think somebody got drunk and just watched The Mummy. I really do. First ability, you turn into a fucking sarcophagus, and if anybody gets close enough to you, you might be able to lifesteal them and revive. That's really fucking stupid. Like, them kind of copying that with Sevagoth, but at least allowing you to fucking bust into the shadow to try to kill people for lifestealing is way better than hoping somebody runs close to you. Desiccation is basically blinding and lifestealing, which is really kind of garbage. Devour is basically eating your health away from enemies and making sand people with this slow-ass animation. Sandstorm is literally Imhotep. So Scarab Swarms with the augment is about the only functional ability on here. I mean, you want to know how to survive with an Aros? Here it is, right here. This is like, I'm really not planning on dying anytime soon. This coupled with like anything with what the fuck, a synth deconstruct, anything with synth deconstruct on it to help give you more energy orbs, coupled with arcane grace to just keep ticking your health right back, coupled with negation swarm to stop damages from hitting you, also coupled with, and I keep saying that a lot, but coupled with adaptation and then armor, and then here, let's just boost everything even more. Have a good fucking day. It's very hard to die. That doesn't make him good. That makes him survivable, but he can still die. Okay? It's very hard, but he can still die. I think, like Chroma, he need, like, yeah, like Chroma, he needs like an 80% rework. Now, where we stand at this point is very simple, and I'm sorry about that little splice of video. My kid needed to come in here for a sec. So where we stand right now is I would love to see one of 4 frames really get the touch first. Like, Limbo is such an easy fix. I wish they would just get it over with, but they haven't even talked about it, so I doubt they're gonna. I think enough people have complained about Limbo's disruption capability that they're just going to leave Limbo in this world of Limbo of just never being really functionally useful again. I would love to see them fix Frost survivability and either fully do the workup on Chroma or Inaros or even Oberon. I think one of those 3 frames, all 3 of those frames are all living in yesteryear, man. And they need a buff. Like Inaros and Chroma especially. Chroma looks fucking badass. Why should a frame that looks that badass be that much ass? Just saying. But on that note, leave your comment below if you think that there's any other frames that you think need work, or if I'm insane for saying that the 11 frames that I've listed that could use a polish or a complete workup are in the realm of, you know, a bad idea. Either way, I'm you guys know me, I'm open for, you know, for adult discussion on the topic, because I know it's a very sensitive topic. Some people will love Inaros and they love a bunch of health, and that's that. And that's fine. If all you want to do is gunplay and have a bunch of health, I get it. That's a good time. It's a good time to me too. That's why I have him. The only reason he's even this low on the bottom is just so I could track all the frames that I think need a rework. So on that note, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one. All right.